Students at Hesston College walking out again Monday, a year after students did so, calling for change in how the institution responds to reports of sexual harassment and assault. This time, though, it's recognizing the work now happening on campus, especially around Title IX issues. Sean logging on the changes in progress and what it means for students.
A parallel action with a different purpose.
We were very nervous about the walkout last year, but we were very glad that our message was received of that we hope that Hesston College becomes a better place.
It was a year ago Meg Beyer was among the students organizing a walkout at Hesston College, calling for change after saying students who reported sexual harassment or violence went unheard or supported.
Working on that right now as a college campus, and I'm very thankful for that as well, but also just creating that place where we can share our stories more openly and honestly and not feel so judged for it.
She is a member of the Title IX implementation group working on changes driven by an independent investigation from consultants Coase and O'Connor. Their report found the college failed to comply with Title IX and presented 27 recommendations.
Choose to be a community that engages in hard conversations in a way that is to bring us together.
Monday, the college hosting a Unity Day to recognize the past year and progress. There's been training for faculty and students, strengthening of the Title IX office, and an improved reporting process.
The work that other students before me have put in, that it has had fruit.
The college also acknowledged the failures of the institution when it comes to responding to and addressing those reports from students of sexual harassment and violence.
It felt essential to healing and moving forward that we acknowledge our past.
While there's more work to be done, it's progress Meg is proud of.
It helps me have hope that this institution will be here for the future.
Monday included a number of workshops, and the goal is to make this an annual event. In Hesston, Sean Logging, 12 News.
At the end of the month, the college's president is set to resign. The college's board accepted the resignation following a vote of no confidence by faculty back in September and the results of the independent investigation into the students' concerns.